Hi there, and welcome to another video where I will be discussing another algorithmic trading strategy for use with an automated crypto trading bot. In earlier videos I discussed and tested the BinHV and I tested the Clucmay Algo strategies. These strategies have both their own positive sides and drawbacks. The author of these strategies probably found it a good idea to combine best of both worlds into one single algo. So this time we will find out if combining two different strategies will create synergy and produce even better results than the individual single ones. And as always, the credits and kudos for creating and supplying us with this code is the Berlin guy in CA. The code is in the Fractrade repository for Algo strategies, which you can see on your screen now. At the moment, I still have some of these files to test, however I am slowly starting to see the bottom of this jar of wonderful inspiration. There are still a few of these strategies left to test in this repository, but a lot of these files also act as a coding example and do not really count as serious trading strategies. But nonetheless, let's not wander off. Let's start by looking at the code to see what the intentions are of this file. And this time I will be a little bit more high over because you can watch the details of both these strategies in their own respective video and post on my website. As always, the first block of code are the external libraries and modules that are important and should be loaded into the code for making the strategy work. Then here, a small section where the Bollinger Bands are defined. And I actually do not know why the Bollinger Bands from another TA library are not used, but nonetheless, you now know how you can code this by yourself. Next comes the strategy class where all the magic happens. Let's first start with the standard items that are always present in each and every Fractrade strategy file. These are the minimal ROI, which is set here to take profit at 5% gains. And here the stop loss is also set to minus 5% losses. So this time the risk to reward settings are set to 1:1. And the author also decided that the 5-minute time frame is the best for this strategy to use. So we will find out later if this is really the case. Oh, and by the way, the author also states that the strategy performs best when there are a maximum of 2 open trades used. Also, he was so friendly to give us some of his own experiences with this strategy in this section. You should take note of these remarks before using or experimenting this on your own setup here. However, because of my own methodology, I will not follow his advice, because otherwise I cannot compare the performance of this strategy with the earlier tests. But I will take notice of them when I decide to investigate this further if it proves to be a successful test. So let's now continue with the indicators method. Here the two sections of the BinHV and Clucmay strategy have been merged into one method. And again, if you really want to know what happens over here in detail, then please read my earlier blog posts about these strategies or watch the respective YouTube videos. Then the buy and sell methods are defined over here. And it looks like the author will let the bot decide to buy if the BinHV parameters are met or if the Clucmay indicators are met. So this way he created a single strategy that really acts with the two individual strategies as choices. If one of these two have the complete signal, the bot will then respond and do a buy of the pair in question. But however, for both of these buy signals there is only one single exit signal, and that is where the candle closes above the Bollinger Band's middle band. So it is actually interesting to see how the author has thought of combining two somewhat similar strategies, which both are using the Bollinger Bands. So let's see if this was just a lucky guess, an experiment, or if he actually has a solid thought behind this algo strategy. Considering the given that the BinHV performed moderate on the 30-minute time frame and even bad on the 5-minute time frame, and that the Clucmay also performed really poor with the initial settings, but suddenly performed surprisingly well after optimizing the indicators, and ROI and stop loss, and all this on the 5-minute time frame, I could not really tell up front how this strategy would perform initially. Because since both strategies performed bad right from the start, I might have guessed that this combination would also perform poorly. However, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the combination of both two strategies actually performed quite well, as you can see from these initial results. Now again, some parameters like ROI and stop loss are set differently from the other ones, but that is only a partial influence of these results. Now looking at the exit reasons, we can see that the exit signal is actually the main cause of all these profits. Almost 8,000 times an average profit of 1.5% adds nicely to your account. However, the stop loss does not do a lot of damage to these nice profits. And I can also see that there are twice as many stop loss signals than ROI signals. So, if I can improve the stop loss, maybe I can also improve the profitability of this strategy. So, why don't I start an optimization run on the ROI and stop loss settings, since there are no other buy and sell parameters to improve, and see what happens. So, after burning up my processor and memory and not be able to use my computer for over a day, I finally got some hyperparameter optimization results. The things I do for my viewers and supporters to keep them from shortening their computer's lifespan is unbelievable. Just as the results after backtesting with these hyper-optimization results. Because these results are really bad in comparison with the original setup. Over 7,000 trades with a mere win rate of around 15%, while the amount of wins was originally 74%, it is a little bit disappointing to say the least. In this example, you can optimize Sortino, Calmar and the Sharpe ratio until they are infinite. But at some point you also have to take a look at all the other factors that determine the total Algo's strategy's performance. And if you're satisfied with all these original numbers, then there is almost not much to optimize anymore. And that is eventually the case with this strategy as well. Optimizing will not only lead to over-optimization, but also curve or overfitting, which is not realistic if you also want to use this algo in the future. So in this case, I will use the original settings that the author has determined. I'm happy with these settings. And also, as with the earlier tested Clucmay strategy, I'm not able to open web pages with plots that are over 1 GB large. If you have a PC with the capacity to show these plots, I will be happy to receive a screen capture of these so that I can add these to the post. So with this out of the way, let's quickly continue with the strategy leak. I personally think that using the Cluck strategies portion in this complete strategy, maybe it's savior. And that it is possible that the BinHV portion makes this perform less good than the number one. On the other hand, you can also state it more positively. And I can say that the BinHV strategy's performance is largely enhanced by adding the Clucmay part to its code. Nonetheless, now we know that a combination of different strategies is possible, but we already knew this of course, and also that combining strategies does not always create synergy. But I'm sure that I will come back to these words when in a future video I will present a combo of two strategies that will get the first spot or so. In any case, another day, another video with another strategy. And again, we know a little bit more on how to create our own algo. So, this is it for me this time. I will see you in the next video and I wish you a good day. Goodbye.